All right, guys. I know I have, and I'm sure a lot of you have had to tell a friend, a good friend, something that you knew might hurt them. It might embarrass them, or you had to point something out that would be kind of for the better for them. There's always a way to go about it. There's always a way to do that and say that without hurting their feelings. Sometimes you got to ease into it. And you got to kind of beat around the bush, but to get to that point so you don't really hurt them. There's a quote it was a Chinese proverb, and it said, "Do not use a hatchet to remove a fly from your friend's forehead." I thought this was a very good quote. It had a lot of relations to life in general. What I want to point out is a few topics. One that goes with my everyday life when you're in a relationship. I want to go with when you're building stuff. There's proper things to use when you're building stuff, proper techniques to use, and then also with teaching in class, proper way to go about things and how this can relate to that. In everyday life, you have relationships. I'm married. You will get asked questions that you have to kind of beat around the bush to get to make sure everything's smooth and everything's good. How does my dress look? Does my butt look big in these pants? You got to know the right answers or where to go to get to those right answers. A lot of times, just "you look great" is a good answer, or good suggestions. What I've used is, "Hey, I love that pink skirt that you wore. I love that one." And "Oh yeah, okay, well I'll put that on instead." So there's ways to get around everything to make sure that you're not hatcheting them in the forehead. Another topic I bring up is working on stuff in my house. I like to build stuff. I like to use instructions. My wife's completely against instructions, which is weird in our relationship. I'm the opposite of what a guy would be, but I really pay attention to instructions. She's more of a jam it, fit it in there. I'm more of use the right tools to get it to work right and everything's solid. So that's with my everyday life when it comes to building stuff at the house. So. And my last topic would be teaching in class. There's a lot of teachers I've had that have been very vocal or very almost rude when it comes to saying this is wrong, that's wrong, and you almost take it the wrong way and kind of almost has a negative effect where you kind of, "Oh, I'm over this, I'm done with this." I've had a math teacher where it's just pounded at you, "You're wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong." Kind of I think there's a better way to go about it with explaining the right way. Maybe showing you what steps you did right and positive influence. So that's my topic. To sum it up, be gentle with what you say, because everyone's got emotions out there, and you got to go about it the right way to not hurt them. Thank you.
Present the others here.
All happiness comes in breakfast. One thing, yeah. Eat your breakfast and have a good day.
How long that was on there?
Or you just totally disagree with what you said. Just said talk straight up.
Well, at the risk of being a hatchet, I'm afraid I'm going to fit into that third category to be talked about in the next class. No, the truth is I thought that you did a good job on most things. I think that the opening is a little ambiguous because I think you could use an example here, but the transition to the topic was excellent. You have a very clear preview that you set up for us, and I think that that makes it a little bit easier for you to talk about things as you're going through. The first one, you had typical examples. They were fine. If you had a specific experience, it would give you maybe a little bit more to talk about, but the ideas of what you're talking about all fit there, and I think most people can kind of relate to those. On the second example, I mean, once you get past having explained what the difference is between you and your wife on putting things together, that's about as far as it goes. There's not really much development of that particular point. On the third point, I thought you did a little bit better. So, your first and your third points were the ones that were the strongest ones, illustrating your point, and I thought they clearly tied into the theme that you were talking about. Presentation things, we've talked about this before. I think you do a solid job on most things. Your voice projects pretty well. It's paced effectively. There's a lot of variety in your voice. Some of the gestures could be a little bit more purposeful, but there are some good indicators while you're speaking. You're very animated while you're talking. Sometimes I got the impression that you tend to favor this corner because I'm here and the camera's here. I'm not sure if the rest of the class felt that way, like they were getting dissed a little bit because you were looking over here, but you want to be consistent about distributing your time. It often felt like you were going both to the corners and not necessarily all throughout the room. So that'd be something to be a little bit more conscious of. It wasn't a huge problem, just something that it was a little noticeable. And I thought you had a solid summary at the end of the speech and finished off very effectively. All right, thank you.